Hey there guys, and welcome back to Railway Operations Simulator. We've got a new task today, that's setting up speed limits and distances, which is a very long task, so we might not do all of it. But I use this button to open it up, check and set track element lengths and speed limits, and it's very similar to preferred directions. You select a stretch and then put in a length and speed. So I've got the sectional appendix open, which is publicly available on the on the Network Rail website if you know where to look for it. Yeah, it's a little awkward to use, but it gives the distances in miles and chains because the UK is awkward, and then speed limits in miles per hour. So because we need a distance in meters eventually, luckily Railway Operations Simulator gives a nice conversion thing that will help me out. So I'm going to arbitrarily choose. We're starting at the to Basingstoke portal because that's the first place I came across on the diagrams. I'm going to arbitrarily choose to start at the 78-mile mark because that's easier than anything else. So we're starting at a speed of 80 miles an hour, and we'll be going for 4 miles. Technically, yeah, we'll just go up to the junction. 5 chains is basically nothing. So we have 4 miles of this. So that's, I mean, that is a long way, but there's another 6 miles to Greatly. I'm not as happy about the idea of 4 miles. I might go with just 3 miles. It's a very long distance, but 4828 and a speed of 129. Okay. It gives me a warning and then promptly doesn't bother me again about it. The other line is at 90 miles an hour, as we can see from the 90 up here. Speeds change where there's an asterisk, or star, however you want to call it. So, we then have 5 chains, which is a very short distance. Yeah, it's only 100 metres. And I'll just do that over the crossover. So 101 metres at 50. I know that 50 miles is 80 kilometres, so I can just put that in. 101 metres at 50. No, 80. And the crossover will also be 101, but it will be at 15, which is 24 kilometres per hour. There we go. A start has been made. Now, I can see that the junction is going to be at 30, but I don't know how long it is, so that will have to wait until we look at the other maps, heading down to Romsey. So, 8205 to 8236, that's 31 chains. And that comes down to here at 50. I'm just going to change that to 50 so I remember now. 624 metres at 80, and the other way 624 metres at 80. What Railway Operations Simulator does not allow for is different speed limits in different directions and variable speed limits depending on the train category. So in the UK at least, I don't know about elsewhere in the world, we have quite often in fact 2 speed limits for the same stretch of track, depending on if you're a freight or a passenger or a freight in a multiple unit. Typically multiple units are allowed to go faster than freight trains. So we have those variable speed limits. You can't implement that in Railway Operations Simulator. My approach is typically to implement the higher speed limit so that all trains can run on time, but it does have the side effect of meaning that the freight trains are typically running ahead of schedule. Especially as when it comes to setting up the timetable later, you'll see how awkward it is to get that right. So, in terms of carrying on with this, we're at 8236, and now we're running to just after the tunnel 8267. That's the next important one because there's a speed limit change. So that's 31 chains. There's a lot of maths involved. I've already got 31 programmed in. How helpful. For just after the tunnel, I'm going to say just before the signal. Yeah, that feels reasonable. We'll go to there. So 624 at 80. and 624 at 80. You can do each track independent of each other, but I like to try and keep them matched up typically. Then we're going to run. So there's 80 chains in a mile. That's the other important one to remember. So 13 to get up to the 83 mark, plus another 14, so that's 27 chains. Maths is hard. So we've got 543 chains, and on the other, and this is the line at 80 still. Yes. That's the important thing. This one's 543 chains, but this one's now at 40, which converts to 64. Put 15 into the yard. What I'm going to do is leave the yard for now, because it will need to be distances based on the main line that I don't have yet. So we're now running at 30 from that distance. So 14 to 26 is 12 chains. You'll notice the distances start getting very short here. That's apparently, I'm converting this from 1,100 meters to 241. And we're running at 30, which is 48. Yeah, it's going to warn me that named locations are quite short. If I turn on track information, I can hover over and you can see those lengths are 22 meters now. The train is always 2 tiles long, so that means that in this location the train is 44 meters, whereas up here the train is over 1 kilometer. So that's fun. Nothing I can do about it though. So we'll just add this one in as well, 241. It just means that the trains cover a longer distance on the diagram in a shorter time in built-up areas like Salisbury. Which is kind of what happens in a real-life signalling centre. Where there's nothing going on, it's all really compacted because the signaller doesn't care. So what I'm also going to do is, we know that distance is 241 meters. So if I go around the top, it still needs to be 241 meters, but at 15, which is 24. For sidings, I typically just half the length. It's just the way I do it. That one I'm going to more than half. It's not really accurate, but kind of works. It's good enough because it doesn't really matter if the train is a little bit too fast or slow through the yard. The timings are so, I don't know, variable. They allow for an awful lot of delay in the yard movements, so it doesn't really matter. Anyway, heading into the station. We know the station is at 83.43. We're currently at 83.26, so that's 4 chains plus 13 chains, 17 chains. And now go up to the middle of the station platform. Go figure. That's the most accurate I can do it. Are we meant to be at 30 still? What are we doing? It looks like this line is meant to be at 30, except for that bit, which is meant to be at 15. Go figure. Then we've got to do that a length of 342 at 30. This one is the same length, however, it's at 20, which I'm going to need to double check the conversion. It's 32 kilometers per hour. That's the best I can work out. There's a 20 down here, and I know the speed limit changed there, so that's a 48 length and a speed of 20, which we now know is 32. Everything else is 15. So, in terms of that distance, 196 meters. That feels awfully short. We'll go with just, I don't know, 200, sure. 15, so 24. These are all at 15. I'm just going to half their distances. What would that be? Half 650. That would be 600. And that could be 250. There we go. As is the way of doing yards. I guess that's also 300 and... Is that where it started? How long is that distance? 222. So that's 222 at 15 miles or 24 kilometres. That distance is 211, so along the straight should also be 211. There we go. And now we've got to do out the other side of Salisbury. Fun. The joy never ends. This has confirmed what we were looking at in the last episode of the platform numbers. 6 is on the right, 5 is on the left. 1 isn't numbered, but there is a platform there. Labels that as a reception siding now. I am just at a loss. Everything seems to be labelled as a reception siding in Salisbury. I think it's best to just ignore it and move on. Problem here is I don't have any more distance markers until this crossover. Where's that? Oh, that is that crossover, to be fair, so not a major issue. We're going up to 8360, so that's 17 chains. Fun. So 342 meters, and we're running at 30 still on this line. So there we go. That distance is 272. So 272 at 48 kilometers an hour, and the sidings are off at 15. What I should do is double check that length. 238. Sure, we can do that. That's 204 at 24. And for the west side, we just half its length, 24. The other line is at 20 miles per hour. So that distance is 342 at 32. There we go. This crossover is at 30. I just need to double check its length. 70 meters at 48 kilometers per hour. The other crossover is at 15. So 68 at 24. That's 170 meters. So that's also 170 meters. The rest of the yard will just be halving lengths. So just come along here. I mean, I say halving lengths like I can be bothered to do the maths. That's what, 650. I'm just going to assume the entire thing's done at 15 miles an hour as well. That's 550. That's 100. That's 550. That's 350. 400. So the other thing you can see as I'm doing this, up in the top left up here, there's a colour code for what appear to be, I'm not 100%, but what appear to be arbitrarily chosen values that are the defaults. i.e. a tile is 100 meters and the speed limit is 200 kilometers per hour by default. If they're default, they are white. If the speed and length are different, which they almost certainly will be, because 200 kilometers per hour is not a standard speed anywhere in the UK. In that case, they are blue. If one of them is the same, then they're red or green, depending on which one is the same. I can't bother to read this key to work it out, so I'm just going to ignore it. Occasionally I get red ones. So what's red? Length is default. Yeah, okay, so sometimes if you're lucky you end up with red because the tile happens to actually be 100 meters. It's rare though. I've never ended up with green because I've never had a speed limit of 200. So we're currently 8360. There's a crossing that I've ignored. That's what I haven't done, is put in any level crossings. I think I decided against it. I'm going to say I decided against it, if there were any. Next speed limit change is at 8523. I'm just going to put it in comparison to the junction. That's very close to the junction. So that's 143. 1 mile, 43 chains is most of the way to the junction. We're currently running at 70 miles per hour. So I'm going to take it up to there, maybe. Maybe even there. 2474 at 113. 2474 at 113. Then we've got 14 chains. And 0 miles. I said that in a weird order. And that's that length. 282 at 113. The other line does 282 at 80. So there we go. Then we're going to continue along the to Exeter route, which we need to end before the junction. So I'm just going to end it at this speed limit change. I think feels reasonable. I typically try and aim for a speed limit change as an end because it's a nice marker where there's actually a distance. What I am seeing is is that a separate junction or is that just a switch diamond? Switch diamonds are weird things. Let me see if I can find an image. This is probably the best image there is. So it's just a diamond crossing. You can't change between the lines, but the track still moves to allow for higher speeds. So at the moment it's set for going straight, and then if the tracks move, it can be set for coming in from the left and going out to the right. I think that might be what the sectional appendix is trying to show here, because I'm pretty certain that is not it's not shown as a separate set of points here. So that's what I'm going with. Anyway, carrying on at our current speeds, we need to go to 8570, so that's 33 chains. Maths. I love maths, not. And then we'll be going another 30 chains after this, so this is about half the length. 664 meters at 113, and this is 664 meters at 80. Then we're going 30 chains, so 604 at 80. And the other line is 604 at 64. There we go. We're done. So, the next step is to work out how far through. We've done it 18, 19 minutes? Okay. We can do a bit more then. So I can see that to Salisbury, which will be up to Warminster, is on page 170. Well, not page, but diagram 170. Romsey is on 150, so I think we'll end up doing Romsey first because it's the first time we're going to scroll to. First, it's going to cover all of the way to Exeter, so I have to skip that. This is 120. Looking up here for the number, so we need 150 and 170. That's 140. That's the Southampton to Portsmouth West Coastway route. 145. Aha! Romsey. Right, there's 150. Which helpfully starts at Romsey. And I have two other diagrams for other parts of it. Okay, I'm going to have to go look at some other diagrams as well then. We'll start at the junction. So this is confusing. Oh, I just love confusion. I'm getting the feeling 105 might be the Southwest Main Line as well, so that might be up to the junction. I'm going to have a look at that. Anyway, I'm going to take the speed limit change as these two distances, and we're looking at the higher number because that's the one that carries on down through Romsey. So 8035 to 8047, so that's 12 chains. It's a bit of a slow start typically while you try and get your bearings of what's going on, but once you do, it gets a bit clearer. So that's 241. Speed, we're on the line on the right here, so that's 85 miles per hour, which is pretty fast. 137. On the other line, it's 241 meters, but we're only doing 75 at this point. So that's 121. The junction, I need to double check the distance, 96 meters. Come on. So it's left click to select and right click to delete a point. Oh, we'll cut back to that point. What did I say? 96 meters at 24. Right, there's a start. So then we've got coming out the other side. I'm going to assume I guess that's meant to be 8105. Just 5 chains. It's a bit deceptive, isn't it? 47. So that's 33. No, is it? Yes, 33 chains to get to 80. Plus another 5, so that's 38 chains. And I'm going to run that to there. 764. Not that much. This line's at 85, which is 137. The other line is 764, which I've typed wrong again. This line's at 75 still, currently. 121. The crossover is going to be 255 long, which is very long for a crossover. And at 15 or 24. The siding, I'm just going to half the length and make it 15. There we go. So we're currently at 8105. The next station is just over 3 miles away, but we've got a couple of speed limit changes before then. But if you think just over 3 miles, so we need to split that length into 3. Now, I've just realised I'm pointing at the screen, like you can see that. That length is 3 miles. So, first things first, we're going about 1.5 miles. So it's about halfway there. We're doing 1 mile plus 54 chains, going up to 82.59. And we're doing this at 85 on both lines now. About halfway is probably about the arrow. 2696 at 137. 2696 at 137. Then the line on the bottom, as I look at it on my diagram, changes. And we're running what's that? That's less than a mile, helpfully. So 21 chains would take us to the mile mark, plus another 45. That's 66 chains. And in terms of, it's probably about that far, right? 1328 at 80. 129. If you start using one speed a lot, you end up learning it, but you very quickly forget it again. 137. And then we change back again, and we're running 35 plus 21, that's 56. into the platform, which is not nearly as long as I thought it was. So they're all 300, they're all 200. Yeah, I'm beginning to regret this. So how long was that? 1328. I'm going to cut it back one node. 1328. 1328. And now we start with a bit of an overlap. We're back to 85 on both lines. So 137 and 1127. Still going to be massively long. But it's not as bad mismatch now. No, I need to start with an overlap. 1127, 137. No, Mottisfont and Dunbridge, or as it's called in the sectional appendix, Dunbridge. Go figure. In theory, the sectional appendix is reasonably up to date, but we have luckily no speed limit changes until Dean, so that's going to be quite a quick one. 8421 to 8810, so that's going to be 59 chains to get it to the mile. 3 miles plus 10 chains, so 369. There we go. And we can just do it all in one quick swoop. 6216 at 137. 6216 at 137. That's the sort of length we like, where it's like just no changes. On the other hand, we have a random drop to 35 miles an hour coming up, which is quite a significant drop from 85 for literally 30 chains. Weird. There's also apparently a junction that I've completely ignored. Oh well. Not adding it now. Let's find out. Wow, 40 chains at 85. Like anyone's going to be accelerating for that length. Really? Was that worth it? Okay. So we're going up to 9560 from 8810. So that's 7 miles, 7.5 miles. Right. This is interesting. What I might do is start from the other end. I might start from the junction, just because it's easier to do the really short gaps first, and then just fill in what's left. So we've got 9560 back to 9520, so that's 40 chains at 85. We're going to run from there. I'm going to say it's like that far, because really it can't be more than that. Um, 805, 137. Then we have 30 chains at 35. Oh yeah, this happens sometimes. The entire screen just moves. It's always good. It's when you press the arrow keys. Even if you're in a text box, it just moves everything. So then we've got 604 meters at 56 on both lines. At 56. And then we can just do the rest as one swoop to Dean. So, working from Dean, that's 6 plus 60 by the looks. Pretty sure that's right. Which is a long way, all things considered. 10,863. Is it really that far? Wow, okay. At 85, so 137. 10,863 at 137. Now I'm just going to look at. So we've got a distance of 201, 202, 201, 202, 639. All the way up to Dean, 639, and out the other side it's 311. Really varies. Varies quite a bit. But that's just the way it is. SW115, I'm pretty sure was the one I was looking at already. That's going to be an interesting one to work out the actual distance of. I can see that the speed all the way round is 30, so 48. I'm just going to set it to that for now. We'll leave it. We'll get back to it. 18 chains across the junction is at 30. That's 362. I'm just going to do it to there. 362 at 48. Oh. So it was over 3, but instead it's going to be over 4. So 3. Oh god. Hey. It's basically, I'm saying 24 chains instead. 483 at 48. And that should mean that that is... Well, I have no way to tell. 121, 121 and 120. 121, 121 and 120. Yeah, it's worked. Cool. That is 241 metres, so this is 241 metres at 48. And then, do we run 20 the rest of the way around? I mean, again, you've disappeared. So, I'm going to bring up a notepad file, which we now have over here. That's nice. 9578 is the marker. If I just make it massive quickly, so you can see, I say massive. So we're going to go back to page 115 because we apparently need it for both. Actually, I'm going to just write down the other one as well. It's 8239. So back to 115, which we know is quite a way up. Here we go. But it's the other side of Salisbury. So, here we go. We're coming in 9605. But the other one comes in at 8205. So now we can use these numbers to do maths. Fun. So, we'll start with this stretch, which is 7 chains. A whole 7 chains. Yeah, what I'm going to do is not that. So, 362, I'm going to make that length instead. 48. 362 at 40. I'm just going to try and drag it out a bit, basically. So that's now 144. Because then we've only got 7 shades to do the rest of this length, which we're doing at 20 apparently. So 141 at 32. If I now look at lengths, we've got track length 72, 73, 28 through there, and then 208 through the tunnel. That's just the way junctions end up a lot of the time. Meanwhile, the curve is 34 chains, which is a much longer distance. It's because I've displayed this really badly. This isn't how the junction is laid down in real life. 684. We've already set the speed. Done. Okay. If we go back up, I think it's SW 105. It gives the stuff around Southampton that we need. So, yeah, here we go at Redbridge, for example. I'm starting just after this junction, really, but, you know, great diagram that shows me nothing. Yeah, I don't have a clue, actually, what the distances are doing here. Does Chandler's Ford have its own page? Sequence 130. Yeah, we might be lucky with that one. Go down to 130. There's a car alarm going off outside. I don't know if you can hear it. It's quite loud. It's rather irritating. Okay, we do start here, so I'm just going to start. Well, there. The first distance I have, 73.34. No, I'm not. I'm going to start at 73.73. Or am I? It's nice of them to not give me a great deal of distances. Like, at what point is the junction at? Goodness knows. What I'm going to do is go 73.73 to 75.25. So that's 7 chains, 1 mile, 25 chains. 132. And I've accidentally used an arrow key. I'm running at various speeds at 60. 2253 at 97. The other line is 818 meters, and the speed limit is 40 or 64 kilometers per hour. There we go. That's the best I can do. So we're starting at the 73 mark, and we're arbitrarily guessing the location of the points. Meanwhile, in the other direction, again, a lack of information as to where the speed changes. Wonderful. So the station is at... I'm going to bring up the notepad again. The station is at 75.25. The points might be at Halterworth level crossing, 79.24. The rest is going to have to wait until I look at... Well, it was diagram 150, wasn't it, I think? It's this page. Or at least I thought it was. Yeah, it's 2 from Eastleigh, sequence 130. The Romsey junction is at 80.35. .80.35. So, with that information, what can we do? I guess we could arbitrarily guess the location of the points again. Oh, I don't really want to do that. I'm going to guess that that is the location of the points, because that feels about right. So, I'm going to run at 97 for a length of... we'll just round points up one shape, because we're guessing the location, and they're not dead on the crossing. And it means we get a nice round 4 miles. So, 6437 at 97. I'm just going to do the distances and go back to the speeds. So, we then have 1 mile plus 10 chains, which feels like more than I'd expect, but I'll roll with it. 1811. Not changing speeds yet. That feels like more than I would expect, but I think it's the best I can do. It's great when the sectional appendix just doesn't give you the numbers you need. I have no other way to really find out. If I look at, if I look on here, I mean, it is quite soon after the Romsey junction in reality, but oh well. I mean, it is next to the Halterworth level crossing by the looks. Almost. I'd guess that's the Halterworth level crossing. But what do I know? Oh well. We're running at 50 down to the junction. But if I go back up to sequence 130... which is this page. So, what I'm trying to work out basically is that's at 60, or 97. That's at 40, or 64. This is at 50, or 80. There we go. The other line, which now I need to scroll back up even more, I think, to sequence 105, and the Southampton area. Here we go, Redbridge. 2331 is the junction. I don't actually want to go that far, but that's the information I need to work out other stuff. So now we go back down to sequence 150, which I've got a little bit too far for. There we go, 150. Redbridge to Salisbury Tunnel Junction. So we're saying that's there. What I might do is start at Chandler's Crossing, i.e. 23... 20. Yeah, because we're working down in distances, so that'll be 11 chains in. So I think that's probably the best then. Start at Chandler's Crossing, or even where the speed limit changes. Could just start where the speed limit changes. Would be easier, wouldn't it? Well, we'll work out the other way. So we're coming out of the junction at 20. Is that how I want to do this? It's 2 chains at 20. Only 2 chains. That's barely anything. Literally 40 meters. I'm going to double the length of that at 32. And then I'll overlap the second tile, if that makes sense. So then we run a long way at 85. It looks deceptively short, but it's a long way. 4 miles and 22 chains. So, like, most of the way, isn't it? It's like that far. 6880 at 85, right? Yeah. 137. At 137. And then we do 53 chains at 60. We're getting there. 1066 at 97. Just out of interest, yeah, they're very mismatched lengths, but oh well. The only problem with it is because of how I arbitrarily space signals without really knowing where they are in relation to anything. If it's a busy line, you can end up with trains waiting at signals because they're in the wrong place in relation to the distances. In reality, Romsey to Redbridge, Southampton, only 2 trains an hour run. Romsey to Chandler's Ford, only 1 train an hour. It's not a major problem. So, we've done that. I'm going to minimise that. We now want, I think it was sequence 170. 170 arrives in Westbury. And here we go, 2 from Warminster. This is what we need. I'm going to come down to the bottom of the sequence so we can start out at the junction. That's Castle Carry. That's not what I was expecting. I guess this is Wilton Junction. 75. I need to know where it actually was, though. I don't actually know where it was in relation to anything else. I'm going to have to write it down on Notepad. I'm going to go scroll back up to sequence 115. Here we are. Bit higher up. Bit higher. There we go. The junction. Right. Okay. This is going to be interesting. Right. Okay. What we have is the Wilton Junction at 13233. We have the crossover at 13217. What also happens here is so speed 40 both. After the crossover, which is at 15, the siding is at 5. We then have the bottom track, so to Westbury is at 5. Is at 75. From Westbury is still 40. Then at 13201, speed change. Speed 75, both. I think that should be enough notes to go back down to page 170. Here we go. There's a crossover here that I'm pretty sure I didn't bother putting it. In. That's fine. Okay, so we have 132 up to the crossover. So that's what's 3 plus 13, 16 chains from the junction to the crossover. So that's that distance. Is 322, and both lines are at 40 at this point. So 322.64. The crossover is at 15, which is that's 160 meters. At 24, the siding is at 5, which is 8 kilometers per hour, which is actually not allowed. Interesting. I could only put it as low as 10 kilometers an hour. Fair enough. I've never had that issue before. Okay then. We then run 16 more chains at a variable speed. So 322. The line 2 Westbury is now at 75, which is 121 kilometers an hour. The other line is still at 40 at the moment. And then we're both changing to 75, and that's this point. So now I can close Notepad. I shouldn't need it again. He says optimistically. He then realises he needed that distance. Is it 13201? I'm pretty sure. I have to go and look, aren't I? Preemptively close Notepad. It's my own stupid fault. It was 13201. So, we're now running 2 miles, 61 chains at 75. which is quite a way. Out of interest, how far is it to Warminster? Warminster is at 114. It's like 16 miles. I really should have spread this out a bit more. There's nothing stopping me spreading it out. I might do that quickly. We've had a change of plan. I'm just going to save this and build modify railway. What we're going to do is grab that and X. We're just going to pull it up to here. V. Control E to select. Control X to cut. Drag along. Control V. Control E. I'm just going to select that bit. Drag it all the way along here. Control V. Control X. No, Control E. Control X. Control V. Then what we're going to do is I'm going to add another pair of signals. That's those two. I think. Well, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take... This is a bit weird. I'm going to need to redo the preferred directions for this as well, but that's inevitable. I'll take those, I'm going to put that one there. They're pretty evenly spaced, I reckon. So, there is a way... I've never done this before, but we're experimenting. Okay. There we go. That's worked, so that's fun. I'm just going to move the A back over here. We're also going to add some more directional arrows in over here, because there's now plenty more space for that. And I'm going to press the tick. Incomplete track. Oh yeah, that is incomplete. I will agree with you there. Tick. Save. And we're going to quickly redo the preferred directions because they are broken. If anything is broken, it's the preferred directions. So just do that, and that should fix everything. Save, close. Back to build modify railway, speeds and distances. Okay then. We're at 13201, and we're going to 12920, so that we worked out that was 2 plus 61, which is what I've got programmed in. Out of 14, so that's almost 3 miles out of 14. Probably do that far. 4446 at 121. It doesn't really matter if it varies because this isn't a busy line. I just want to make sure it's reasonably accurate. And we have... what's that? That's a nice amount of chains. To 42 to 62. 62 chains at 50. 62 chains. It's a nice short distance, this. We'll just go to there. 1247 at 80. And 1247 at 80. Okay. Then we change again. We're now going 6 miles and 78 chains. Almost, but not quite 7 miles. to get to 12140. Which is still 7 miles away. I think my estimates as to distances were wrong. Yeah, okay. This is going to be like that far. 11225. This is a long way to Warminster. Then we have 20 chains at 65. Nice short distance again, just to compare. Those are about 2.5 times as long, so I'll just do this for 2. That works nicely. Just a random 2 tiles there at a different speed. Then we're back up to 75. 12120 to 12. Well, where's the next speed change? Uh, 12120. So that's 46 miles and 60 chains to get to there. 10863. At 121. That distance is 500 meters. At 24. This siding, it's trying to suggest it's the other way round, so I have no idea. But if we just look at, it's not even marked on here, so it's all a bit of a guess. I honestly don't know. I have no way to I guess I could look at Open Rail on that. Let's go up to Warminster, which is up here, and have a look. Yeah, just come out the other way. Okay, let's fix that then. That won't be long. So it comes out like that, basically. That's what I'm seeing. I'm going to have to move that text. We'll just put the name below the station. There we go. That'll do. That can go. That's going to need a location so I can turn trains around. Then we're going to need to name this Warminster MOD sidings. But I'm actually seeing that I should be making it a bit smaller than that. Are we really as small as 8? Oh, we've not saved. Oh, okay. Yeah, that happens sometimes. Have you still not saved? Could you maybe save? Don't like saving, do you? 10, okay. There we go. Got it working. So then we can delete that. We have to delete that. Move this. I should just copy the original, move the original one. The signal, I'm going to need a number for, which I'm going to struggle to find. This site will hopefully tell me. It's signal 751. Warminster signal 751. And then I edit that to just read SIG 751. Move the text slightly, and everyone's happy. Tick. Save. close this because I now need to set the preferred directions again. This is basically how this game goes. It's a lot of, oh, I've done that slightly wrong, guess I've got to change that and then redo everything else. Even through timetabling, I'm sure I'll still have to add in more signal locations, because that's just the way it is. Right. That is meant to be 1260 in length. So that's also meant to be 1260 in length. There we go. That I'm just going to run at 24 and I'm going to halve the distance. Nice and simple. Now then, back to the sexual appendix. As we come into Warminster, 3 chains at 35. So that's that distance, 60 metres at 56 kilometres per hour. 60 metres at 56. At the other side of Warminster, I think I went most of the way to Dilton Marsh. It's 4 chains at 35. I mean, just drive really slowly through Warminster Station is what I'm seeing here. Just massively drop your speed exclusively for the station platform. Dilton Marsh is over 3 miles away, so what I'm going to do is just say 2 miles. At 75. 3219 121. 3219 121. There we go. All the speeds and distances are done. It's been an hour again, which actually wasn't as bad as I was expecting. Luckily this is, as it goes, a relatively simple route. So, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed and want more, and I'll catch you... Well, actually, no, I've forgotten something. There is one more thing I need to do. Theoretically, this route is now done, in that this is operational, it just needs a timetable. Therefore, we have to use the Save As button, and select the route name, which I've lost. There it is. And then we save it as a railway file instead. So a .dev file is used for creation, a .railway file is actual operation. You can only write a timetable or validate a timetable for a railway file. So now we've saved it as a railway, next time we can start the timetable. Not today though. So thanks for watching, like and subscribe if you enjoyed and want more, and I'll catch you in the next one.